كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إنا أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم يرى الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون صدق الله العلي العظيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه.
Asant, Jazakallah. Before we move on to the salams, I would kindly request everybody to recite Surah Fatiha and Surah Ikhlas 3 times for Marhum Abbas Quli Khan Qizilbash, Ibn Agha Hassan Quli Khan Qizilbash. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. I kindly request Sayyid Gibran, if he is online, to kindly unmute and recite salam.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Durud bheje Muhammad wa ali Muhammad par milke.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
سلام سے پہلے چند اشعار مالک کے فضائل کے جسارت کروں گا. درود بھیجیں مل کے محمد و آل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد
حسین بات رہے ہیں نجات لے جاؤ. حسین بات رہے ہیں نجات لے جاؤ. کچھ آنسوؤں کے وزر کائنات لے جاؤ. حسین بات رہے نجات لے جاؤ. یہ کربلا ہے یہ معجزے نما کی بستی ہے. یہ کربلا ہے یہ معجزے نما کی بستی ہے. کفن میں اس کے لپیٹو حیات لے جاؤ حسین بات رہے نجات لے جاؤ کہیں گے ماتمی حلقوں سے لوگ محشر میں کریں گے ماتمی حلقوں سے لوگ محشر میں ہمیں حسین کی جنت میں ساتھ لے جاؤ حسین بانٹ رہے نجات لے جاؤ. اور آخری شعر فضائل کا. نہیں کروں گا لحد میں انتظار سحر نہیں کروں گا لحد میں انتظار سحر فرشتوں کرب و بلا راتوں رات لے جاؤ حسین بانٹ رہے نجات لے جاؤ. درود بر محمد و آل محمد.
اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد. جزاک اللہ. اب میں دعوت دیتا ہوں کاشف رضا جو آن لائن ہے، اپنا مائک انمیوٹ کر لیں.
سب سے پہلے تمام حاضرین مجلس کو السلام علیکم.
وعلیکم السلام ورحمۃ اللہ.
تمام لواحقین کی خدمت میں مرحوم کی تعزیت پیش کرتا ہوں. ایک سلام کے چند اشعار.
بسم اللہ.
میسم بنا دیا اسے قمبر بنا دیا میسم بنا دیا اسے قمبر بنا دیا آل نبی نے جس کا مقدر بنا دیا آل نبی نے جس کا مقدر بنا دیا اور بس حر پہ منحصر نہیں حیدر کے لال نے بس حر پہ منحصر نہیں حیدر کے لال نے جو ذرہ بھی ملا مہو اختر بنا دیا جو ذرہ بھی ملا مہو اختر بنا دیا اور زام یزیدیت پہ تبسم کے وار نے زام یزیدیت پہ تبسم کے وار نے اصغر تیرے جہاد کو اکبر بنا دیا اصغر تیرے جہاد کو اکبر بنا دیا اور دیکھا جو عشق نانا سے حق نے حسین کا دیکھا جو عشق نانا سے حق نے حسین کا اکبر کو ہم شبیہ پیمبر بنا دیا اکبر کو ہم شبیہ پیمبر بنا دیا اور اس شعر پہ خصوصی توجہ چاہوں گا سب کی پلٹی کچھ ایسی شان سے شبیر نے بساط پلٹی کچھ ایسی شان سے شبیر نے بساط خنجر کو حلق حلق کو خنجر بنا دیا خنجر کو حلق حلق کو خنجر بنا دیا اور یہ شعر بطور خاص آپ لوگوں کی نظر خیبر کی داستان سنا کر رباب نے خیبر کی داستان سنا کر رباب نے اصغر کو ایک رات میں حیدر بنا دیا اصغر کو ایک رات میں حیدر بنا دیا اور مقطع پیش خدمت خطبات بنت حیدر کرار نے سراج خطبات بنت حیدر کرار نے سراج کرب و بلا کو فکر کا محور بنا دیا کرب و بلا کو فکر کا محور بنا دیا میسم بنا دیا اسے قمبر بنا دیا آل نبی نے جس کا مقدر بنا دیا بر محمد والے محمد صلوات
اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد. جزاک اللہ ماشاء اللہ. میں درخواست کرتا ہوں سید محمد افسر بھائی، آپ پلیز اپنا مائک انمیوٹ کر لیں، اپنا ویڈیو آن کر دیں اور اپنا سلام پیش کریں.
جی السلام علیکم.
وعلیکم السلام ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ.
سلام کے 2 یا 3 اشعار اس کے بعد انشاءاللہ مرثیہ. ہوا جو عشق ثنائے ابو تراب مجھے ہوا جو عشق ثنائے ابو تراب مجھے خدا نے کر دیا ذرے سے آفتاب مجھے ہوا جو عشق کہے زمین نظر آئے بوتراب مجھے کہے زمین نظر آئے بوتراب مجھے ملا ہے قبر کی ظلمات میں آفتاب مجھے ہوا جو عشق نقاب روح سے الٹ دیجئے علی اکبر نقاب روح سے الٹ دیجئے علی اکبر چمک دکھا کے جلاتا ہے آفتاب مجھے ہوا جو عشق کیے جو آ کے نہ کی رین نے سوال انیس کیے جو آ کے نہ کی رین نے سوال انیس بتا دیے میرے مولا نے سب جواب مجھے ہوا جو عشق ثنائے ابو تراب مجھے صلوات.
اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد.
میرے لیے تکلیف وہ فرماتے ہیں میرے لیے تکلیف وہ فرماتے ہیں آ کے مجھے خواب میں سمجھاتے ہیں آ کے مجھے خواب میں سمجھاتے ہیں تم مر मरसिया पढ़ने को जहाँ जाते हो, तुम मरसिया पढ़ने को जहाँ जाते हो, हम मरसिया सुनने को वहाँ आते हैं, हम मरसिया सुनने को वहाँ आते हैं। इस बज़्म में शरीक रसूले खुदा भी हैं, साथ उनके औलिया भी हैं और अंबिया भी हैं। नाला पे सर के हाल पे मुश्किल कुशा भी हैं, थामे हुए जिगर हसने मुश्तबा भी हैं, थामे हुए जिगर हसने मुश्तबा भी हैं। सुन सुन के मरसिया को ये रिक़ा जो होती है, तुम सबके साथ रूहे अइम्मा भी रोती है, तुम सबके साथ रूहे अइम्मा भी रोती है। इरशाद नबी है कि मददगार हैं मेरे, फरमाते हैं हैदर के ये गमख्वार हैं मेरे। हजरत का सुखन है कि अज़ादार हैं मेरे, मैं इनका हूँ तालिब ये तलबगार हैं मेरे। ये आज अगर रो के हमें याद करेंगे, ये आज अगर रो के हमें याद करेंगे, हम कब्र में इन लोगों की इमदाद करेंगे, हम कब्र में इन लोगों की इमदाद करेंगे। मरता है कोई तो बुका करता हूँ मैं भी, इन लोगों के बख्शिश की दुआ करता हूँ मैं भी, इन लोगों की बख्शिश की दुआ करता हूँ मैं भी। इरशाद नबी है। फातिहा। मीर अनीस का मरसिया आपकी खिदमत में। जनाब इमाम हुसैन अलैहिस्सलाम की आखिरी रुखसत के सिलसिले में है उसके चंद बंद, लेकिन उससे पहले एक बंद जनाब ज़ैनब सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि की शान में भी। बंद उस वक्त है कि जब بی بی کی ولادت ہوئی ہے، لیکن یہ کلام میں سخن ہے میر انیس کا کہ ولادت کے موقع پر بھی غم کے اشعار ہیں. ظاہر ہے واقعہ کربلا ان کی نظر میں ہے. گھر میں ہے در کے یہ دختر ہوئی جس دم پیدا، گھر میں ہے در کے یہ دختر ہوئی جس دم پیدا، سن کے سلمان سے خبر آئے رسول دوسرا، اپنی آغوش میں حضرت نے نواسی کو لیا، پیار کرتے رہے تا دیر اسے شاہ ہدا، پیار کرتے رہے تا دیر اسے شاہ ہدا، پھر ہوئی شدت غم اشکوں سے منہ دھونے لگے، چوم کر شان رسول دوسرا رونے لگے، چوم کر شان رسول دوسرا رونے لگے، گھر میں جس دم ہوئی. جب آخری رخصت کو حسین آئے حرم سے، سب بیبیاں لیتی شہ والا کے قدم سے، حضرت نے کہا خط محبت کرو ہم سے، جینے کے نہیں ہم علی اکبر کے علم سے، بابا سے نہ جب تک وہ گلندان ملے گا، تب تک نہ ہمیں ایک دم آرام ملے گا، تب تک نہ ہمیں ایک دم آرام ملے گا، آگے میرے مارے گئے وہ بھانجے پیارے، قاسم بنے دنیا سے پرارمان سدھارے، عباس کا غم پوچھے کوئی دل سے ہمارے، اکبر کے تو مرنے سے ہوئے گور کنارے، اب پاس نہ بھائی نہ بھتیجا نہ پسر ہے، سوداغ ہیں اور ایک دل یہ ہمارا ہی جگر ہے، یہ ہمارا ہی جگر، میں کہتا تھا کٹ جائے گا جب تن سے میرا سر، سب روئیں گے اور غسل و کفن دیں گے آ کر، بابا کا اٹھائیں گے جنازہ علی اکبر، سو مر گئے وہ زندہ ہے فرزند پیمبر، روح علی اکبر سے ہمیں شرم بڑی ہے، میدان میں بے گور و کفن لاش پڑی ہے، میدان میں بے گور و کفن لاش پڑی ہے، اللہ کو سونپا تمہیں اے زینب کلثوم، لگ جاؤ گلے تم سے بچھڑتا ہے یہ مظلوم، اب جاتے ہی خنجر سے کٹے گا میرا حلقوم، ہے صبر کا اماں کا طریقہ تمہیں معلوم، مجبور ہیں ناچار ہیں مرضی خدا سے، بھائی نہیں جی اٹھنے کا فریاد و بکا سے، بھائی نہیں جی اٹھنے کا فریاد و بکا سے، کہہ کر یہ سخن شاہ کے آنسو ہوئے جاری، چھاتی سے لپٹ بھائی کی زینب یہ پکاری، اے سید مظلوم بہن ہو گئی واری، میں جان نہیں دینے کی حضرت کی سواری، تب جائیو جب جی سے گزر جائے گی زینب، حضرت نے کمر باندھی تو مر جائے گی زینب، حضرت نے کمر باندھی تو مر جائے گی زینب، ان باتوں سے زینب کی ہوئے شاہ، ان باتوں سے زینب کی دل شاہ بھرایا، رو رو کے گلے خواہر بیکس کو لگایا، اور پونچھ کے آنسو اور پونچھ کے آنسو یہ محبت سے سنایا، تم نے بھی تو ہے صبر بہن ورثے میں پایا، ہم حلق پہ لیں تیرے ستم دشت بلا میں، ہم حلق پہ لیں تیغ ستم دشت بلا میں، تم رنج اسیری کا سہو راہ خدا میں، تم رنج اسیری کا سہو راہ خدا میں، یہ کہہ کے قریب فرس آئے شہ ابرار، گردن کو جھکائے ہوئے روتا تھا وہ ہموار، چمکار کے حضرت نے کہا اس کو بہت پیار، چمکار کے حضرت نے کیا اس کو بہت پیار، فرمایا کہ تو دیکھ تو اے اسب وفادار، فرزند نہیں بھائی نہیں، فرزند نہیں بھائی بھتیجا نہیں کوئی، تھامے جو رکابان کے اتنا نہیں کوئی، تھامے جو رکابان کے اتنا نہیں کوئی، اہل جہاں کے دن کر لو زیارت، دنیا سے محمد کے نواسے کی ہے رحلت، یہ شکل نہ آئے گی نظر پھر کسی صورت، سمجھو پسر فاطمہ زہرا کو غنیمت، ڈھونڈو گے تو شبیر سا آقا نہ ملے گا، ڈھونڈو گے تو شبیر سا آقا نہ ملے گا، پھر تم کو محمد کا نواسا نہ ملے گا، پھر تم کو محمد کا نواسا نہ ملے گا، ہے وقت دعا حق سے انیس، اب تو دعا کر، جو حاجتیں لوگوں کی ہیں ان کو روا کر، ان تعزیہ داروں پہ تو الطاف و عطا کر، مقروض جو مومن ہے تو قرض ان کے ادا کر، محتاج نہ ہو تیرے سوا اور کسی کے، محتاج نہ ہو تیرے سوا اور کسی کے، اور حشر میں ہو ساتھ حسین ابن علی کے، اور حشر میں ہو ساتھ حسین ابن علی کے،
آمین. MashaAllah. Jazakallah. Salawat bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Before I request Maulana Ayleya to come on to the virtual online member, I've been asked to give a brief introduction of him, and I will try to keep it brief, conscious of the time, even though there is a lot to say. Maulana originates from Pakistan, but he was raised and brought up in Dubai. He spent 15 years studying in the Hawza of the holy city of Qum. 5 of these were spent at the highest level, the Ba'ath al-Kharij, where he benefited from lessons of several revered teachers, such as Ayatollah Al-Uzma Wahid Khurasani, Hafidullah, Ayatollah Al-Uzma Jawad Tabrizi, Rahmatullah, and Ayatollah Javadi Amali, Hafidullah. Since 1997, Maulana Ayleya has been based in Seattle, where he founded the Zainab organization, which is a multi-ethnic Islamic center. In addition to that, Maulana Ayleya resides on the board of more than a dozen different Islamic centers and organizations, including our foundation here in Geneva. He speaks English, Arabic, Persian, and Urdu fluently. And apart from his religious background, for those of you who are connected with him on Facebook, you would see that he also partakes in activities such as ice skating, skiing, skydiving, often with the youth of the community. He comes to Geneva twice a year for Arba'in and for a summer family camp, which he animates. And it's really been my honor to be able to benefit from his visits and from his knowledge. So without further ado, I kindly request Maulana to unmute his mic, to turn on his video, and allow us to benefit from his knowledge. Salawat per Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Is my voice clear?
Yes, alhamdulillah, it's clear.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي ليس لأوليته ابتداء ولا لأزليته انقضاء، وانحسرت الأوصاف عن كنه معرفته وردعت عظمته العقول، والذي لا تواري عنه سماء سماء ولا أرض أرضا. ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على سيد البطحاء سيد المرسلين والأنبياء أبي القاسم محمد المصطفى، وعلى الجوهرة القدسية البتول العذراء سيدة النساء فاطمة الزهراء، وعلى بعلها أمير المؤمنين وبنيها الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا، لا سيما على بقية الله وحجته الكبرى الذي بيمنه رزق الورى، وبوجوده ثبتت الأرض والسماء، ولولاه لساخت الأرض بأهلها، واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من حين عداوتهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه الكريم وفرقانه المجيد: وقوله الحق وهو أصدق الصادقين، هو الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. صلوات. Please recite Surah Al-Fatiha and 3 times Suratul Ikhlas for the soul of marhum Agha Abbas Hassan Khan Qizilbash, son of Hassan Khan Qizilbash. Since this is Majlis al-Fatiha for the eesal-e-Sawab to the marhum, and I have been asked to talk about something regarding the state of Barzaq. So I'll try to focus on that, inshallah. There's a hadith narrated from Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam in al-Mawa'idh al-Adadiyya, that Imam alayhi salam says that when a person dies, dakhala ma'ahu fi qabrihi sittatu suwarin. When a person dies, 6 forms and surat and shapes enter into his grave along with him. In the belief of us, the Isna Ashari 12-er Imami belief system, we believe that there is tajassumul a'mal. Our deeds and actions are personified. They will appear in the form and shape, and we are going to see our good deeds or the bad deeds in those forms and shapes. The good deeds are visible inside the grave in the form of Suratun Nuraniya, a Nurani Surat illuminated with the divine light, and the bad deeds are visible inside the grave in the form of Suratun Zulmaniya, a dark form and shape. Barzaq in Arabic means a stage between any 2 stages. The reason why we call Barzaq to be Barzaq, because it stands between Alamun Nasut, the world of matter, and Alamul Jabarut, the world of metaphysical realities. So this is a state between 2 stages of life. Islam believes the life on this world, in this world, is not it. That's not the end of life. This is just a temporary abode. We are going to be transferred to the permanent abode, which is the hereafter. But between the life in this material world and the hereafter lies a stage which is Barzakh, between the 2 stages. This is what we call the Alamut Tajarrud al-Barzakhi in Islamic philosophy, where we are not totally disconnected with the world of matter, nor we did enter into the hereafter completely and totally. We are in the middle of the 2 stages. The reason why we feel all the sawab and rewards, and those who are the bad doers with bad beliefs are going to face those punishments, because the soul is still having a sort of connection with the body. If the body is totally disconnected from the soul, then body doesn't feel nothing, right? So the body is only going to feel if there is a connection with the soul, and it's the soul that has the feelings. So it's not totally disconnected. It has a sort of, the soul has a sort of connection remaining with the body inside the grave, inside the stage of Barzakh. So Imam Sadiq alayhi salam is teaching in this authentic hadith, 6 surat, 6 forms and shapes enter with a human being when he dies. Inside our grave, we are going to have 6 of the things with us. What are those 6 things? On his right-hand side is the nur of the salat, the prayers that a person performs throughout his life. All the salat, all the prayers that we have done appear in the form of a nur and we are going to visibly see that nur on the right hand side of ours. And on the left hand side is the nur of the zakat. Zakat, ihtimalan used in the literal meaning of the word, that includes all the taxes of Islam, including khums, including fitra, and so forth. All the Islamic taxes included would appear in the form of a nur on the left hand side of the person. And in the front of the person is the nur of the siyam and fastings that he has done throughout his life. That would appear in a form of a nur in front of the person. On the back side is the nur of the hajj that he may have performed if hajj became wajib upon him. We need to perform the hajj in the same year without delay. If you have istita'at and capability of going for hajj, and if I delay my hajj, I will be counted as a sinner, and that's obviously gunah-e-kabira, a greater sin in Islam. So if the hajj becomes wajib, we are supposed to perform the hajj immediately in the same year without delay. The nur of hajj, suratun nuraniyah, that form of nur is going to appear behind our backs inside the barzakh and the grave. At the feet of the person is all the musa'adat, all the helps that he has provided to his fellow mu'min brothers and sisters throughout his life. And on the top of the head of the mu'min is the nur, which is the most intense nur among all the 6 anwar, all the 6 lights that are found in the grave. And I'm going to come to that nur at the end, close to the end of my speech. Okay, and the right hand side is the nur of the prayers of the person inside the barzakh and grave. And so as you recall, when we bury our dead people, we always turn the dead people towards the Qibla, right vertically straight 90 degrees up. Even the thumbnails, even the nails of the toes of the person, nails of the toes of the person need to be facing towards Qibla as well, not just turning the head. We turn the entire body towards the Qibla vertically straight, vertically 90 degrees straight. So the whole body is facing towards Qibla. So when you turn the whole body towards the Qibla, you turn it on his right hand side, right? So we turn the body over his right hand side facing towards the Qibla. So that means the person is actually, in the real sense, lying over the mattress of his salat throughout the duration of the grave. What kind of mattresses do we like to sleep on in our lifetime in this dunya? We would definitely like a comfortable mattress to sleep on. The mattress over which we are going to sleep, and for the longer duration, longer than the lifespan in this world, is the mattress of our salat, the nur of our salat. What is the status of my prayers? How do I pray? Do I pray it properly according to the ahkam and the rulings and the values? And it's not just about the khudu. Khudu and khushu are 2 words used in Arabic. Khudu relates to the limbs and parts of the body, the physical limbs of the person, whereas khushu'ul qalb relates to the qalb and heart and soul of the person. So if we are doing the salat and we want the salat to be accepted by Allah, then we all strive for our prayers to be accepted. Then we need to do it with the khushu'ul qalb, means our heart focused on Allah and feeling the fear of Allah and abiding by taqwa, doing the wajibs and leaving the harams as a minimum. So this is the kind of salat that is going to be accepted. You know, if somebody comes to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam and asks, I want to know whether my prayers are accepted or not, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam recites the verse of Holy Quran, Inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. So we learn in the light of this verse that the prayers blocks a person from doing indecencies, harams, munkar. the wrongs. So فَبِقَدْرِ مَا مَنَعَتْكَ قُبِلَتْ مِنْكَ, as much as your salat stopped you from the indecencies and harams in your life and munkar, it is accepted. So if your salat empowered you to abstain from harams, 85% of the harams, so 85% of my salat is going to be accepted only, not 100%. So it all depends, how much do I abstain from the harams in my everyday life. Our salat is the madhar and reflection of my 24 hours of the day and night time. The way I spend my 24 hours are reflected in my prayers. And that's the behavior of a person towards Allah in those 24 hours is going to determine whether the salat is going to be accepted by Allah or not. So the rest of the time in the day is reflected by the salat, and the salat is also reflected by the rest of the time, how we spend the rest of the time in our everyday schedule. So on the left hand side is the zakat, where these two are always presented together before Allah, because so many times you look in the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ. Salat and zakat are mentioned next to each other in the Holy Quran multiple times. This in that ilm tafsir, the science of Islamic interpretation of the Holy Quran, our scholars say this is called dalilul muqarana, means the evidence of proximity. When one thing is A is mentioned next to B, it proves that that A is unacceptable in the eyes of Allah without B. So our prayers are not accepted by Allah unless and until we pay our khums. Why? Because of Dalilul Muqarana, according to Tafsir. Because zakat is mentioned next to the mention of salat in the Holy Quran. One is not accepted without the other. If we want our prayers to be accepted, we must make sure we are paying the khums properly and timely. And some people have what it takes to pay their khums, but they just delay it. This is the haqq. This is the right of Fatimatul Zahra, salamullahi alayha. This is the right of Imam Baqiyatullah al-A'zam. Ruhi wa arwahul alameen li turabi maqdamih al-fida. That's the right of Imam Sahib al-Zaman. Khums is the right of Ahlul Bayt. Our salat, hadith teaches us, our salat is kept by the angels under the arsh of Allah and not presented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until the time of khums arrives. If a person pays his khums, then the angels of Allah couple the khums and salat together and present it together before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now we understand why our scholars of tafsir have mentioned dalilul muqarana in the tafsir. One is not accepted without the other. So on the left hand side in Barzaq is the nur of our khums that we have paid. Fitra and zakat, those people who are living in villages, they pay the zakat. Those who live in cities, and we have this money and wealth and cash and monetary instruments, stocks and bonds and retirement funds and so on and so forth, we pay the khums. So this is about the nur on the left hand side. And then on the front of the person is the nur of the fastings. And the fastings again are, the fast is called a fast if every part of the body is fasting. Eyes need to be fasting. We don't look at non-mahram people or any other haram thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it haram to look at through the eyes. We don't hear ghibat, backbiting, tuhmat, slander, namima, chughalkhori, gossiping, and so on and so forth. So ears need to be fasting, hands need to be fasting. I don't write emails, texts, WhatsApp messages, writing things, doing things which Allah forbade. Allah made it haram on me to do with my hands. Any kind of zulm. I don't walk to places with my legs where Allah made it haram to visit, and so on and so forth. Fasting is a fasting where every part of the body has a share. And then it comes to Hajj. Hajj, which is wajib if we are mustati, the nur is at the back. So when these anwar, these lights are entering into the grave, they start introducing themselves in front of each other. And they ask the nur at the feet to introduce the nur of, when it comes to the nur of the feet, the nur of the feet, nur at the feet of the mu'min in Barzaq introduces himself. I am the help this mu'min provided to his fellow mu'min brothers and sisters. And this nur at the feet says to the rest of these four lights, not the one at the top of the head, which I'm going to come to that nur at the end. The rest of the four, the nur of salat, the nur of Islamic texts, khums and so on and so forth, the nur of fasting, the nur of hajj, these four nur and lights are addressed by the nur at the feet, which belongs to the helps that he has provided to the fellow mu'min brothers and sisters. That nur says to these four lights, you guys help this mu'min out, and if you become helpless, if you could not help him any longer, then come to me so I can help him. So the point to note, brothers and sisters, is that when our prayers could not help us inside the barzakh, inside the grave, when our khums could not help us, when our fastings could not help, because God forbid if I do the fastings not up to the mark, not according to how Allah has commanded, Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam taught us, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us, it's not up to the mark. If my hajj is not up to the mark, at that occasion, the help that we provide to our fellow mu'min brothers and sisters is so much sawab in Islam, so much sawab. Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam was doing the i'tikaf. I'tikaf is a special worship done in al-Masjidul Jami', any mosque where at least one Salatul Jumu'ah is installed by fulfilling all of its conditions. And somebody comes and asks Imam Hasan alayhi salam for help. Imam Hasan abandons his i'tikaf. Imam Hasan alayhi salam abandons and just starts walking away with him. And the guy said, well, you are here, Imam alayhi salam, in the masjid. Imam said, Imam alayhi salam gives him the reply that it benefits us, that helping out a mu'min is so much more sawab. So much more sawab. So it is, we need to understand that Muhaddis Qummi, who compiles Mafatihul Jinan, his teacher is Muhaddis Nuri. Muhaddis Nuri says that in the entire Sharia, I could not find anything with having more sawab in Islam than ziyarat of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The biggest sawab in Islam belongs to the ziyarat of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, sawab of 1,000 hajj. And another hadith teaches us sawab of 90 hajj of Rasulullah sallallahu. 90 hajj of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam are superior than 1,000 hajj of a sinner like me. So 90 hajj of Rasulullah, unimaginable sawab. And then Muhaddis Nuri says there's only one thing I found in the entire religion Islam, which has more sawab than the ziyarat of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And that is qada'u hajatil mu'min, fulfilling the hajat and need of your fellow mu'min brother and sister or sister. It has more sawab than the ziyarat of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Imam Hussein had been helping mu'mineen throughout his life. Imam Hussein had a mark on his back. When somebody after the martyrdom of Imam Hussein asked Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam, what about the mark at the back of Imam al-Hussein? Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam replied, that mark belongs to the food that Imam Hussein had been carrying over his back to the poor people, miskeen people, and handing over that food to the deserving people throughout his life. Throughout his life, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam have been helping out the mu'min people. That's sawab bigger than the ziyarat of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. It speaks volumes when you learn that. So that's the nur saying to the nur of salat and zakat and khums and fitra and fasting and the hajj, that you guys help him. If you are unable to help, let me know. I will take over from there. Noor of the helping of the mu'min brothers and sisters is more intense and more helpful. And now let's come to the biggest and most intense Noor, having the highest luminosity. And that is the Noor on the top of the head of the person. That Noor and all of these 5 Anwar and lights then ask this Noor on top of the head, would you please introduce yourself? The Noor on the top of the head of the person says, I'm the Noor of the belief of Walayat of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. That's the most intense Noor. وَقِفُوهُمْ إِنَّهُمْ مَسْئُولُونَ. The Holy Quran has said, Surah Safat, and stop them. They are questionable. Now we have multiple tafsir from different scholars saying, what are these people going to be questioned? These are the criminals when they are taken towards the hellfire. Before they are dropped into the hellfire, the command from Allah is going to arrive, وَقِفُوهُمْ, and stop them. إِنَّهُمْ مَسْئُولُونَ. They are supposed to be questioned. Huge discussion in our tafsir. Well, these people are already criminals. They already know where they are heading. Accountability has already been taken. Now, why are they being stopped in the final 11th hour when they are at the brink of the hellfire? Some of the scholars say in tafsir that they are going to be questioned about how they spent their life. Omar, did we waste our life or not? Some scholars said they are going to be questioned how they spent their money in their lives. Did they wasted their money, or they really supported the cause of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, cause of Imam Ali alayhi salam, cause of the walayat of Ahlul Bayt? So the real teachings of Ahlul Bayt, like Imam Khomeini Ridwanullah alayhi used to say, our Islam is the pure Muhammadan Islam. Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. The real Islam of Rasulullah, which we learned from the hands of Amir al-Mu'mineen wa Imam al-Muttaqeen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam. The real Islam. So, and some people say they're going to be asked about the bid'ats and inventions that some people had added or into the religion, or removed certain things from the teachings of Rasulullah. They're going to be asked in the final moments about those bid'ats and inventions. Whereas in the tafsir of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, and that narration with a little bit of variations is narrated in several of the Sunni books as well, including Kashf al-Ghimma fi Ma'rifat al-A'imma, including At-Tazkira li-Sibt ibn al-Jawzi, including As-Sawa'iq al-Muhriqa for Ibn al-Hajar. These are these are very famous books of our Sunni brothers. And likewise, in our side, Sheikh At-Tusi, founder of the Hawza of Najaf, rahmatullahi alayh, narrates in Kitab al-Amali that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إِذَا كَانَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ وَنُصِبَ الصِّرَاطُ عَلَى جَهَنَّمَ. When the day of judgment happens, day of resurrection happens, and the bridge of Sirat is installed over the hellfire, Lam yajuz, no one can cross the bridge of Sirat illa man, except the one who has a license, a jawaz, in a license in which walayat of Imam Ali alayhi salam is written. So only those people who have the license of walayat from Imam Ali alayhi salam are eligible to cross the bridge of Sirat. So this is the walayat of Imam Ali alayhi salam, which is going to be, this noor is on the top of the head, the most intense noor that is going to help us. So it is very important that a person does not wait for his children to do his huququllah and huququn nas. We take care of that ourselves and in our own lives. This one guy passed away, and he wrote in his wasiyat for his son, okay, my son, you do 40 years of my prayers, my qada prayers. Son doesn't have the time to do his own prayers in his life. Why are you expecting your son to do your qada prayers? This is not the right thing. This is not the right thing. We are supposed to perform all of our huququllah, the rights towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and huququn nas, rights towards the people. Very important. Allah does not forgive until the people forgive us. If we did the tuhmat, if we did ghibat, if we did any haram towards, any zulm towards anybody, our own relatives or our community members or mu'mineen, anybody, we need to be questioned and we need to compensate for that. We need to seek apology from them. That's the best thing we can do for ourselves. The best service, brothers and sisters, me and you can provide for any marhum, any departed soul, is not to perform mustahab things. It's very, very good to do mustahab things. There's nothing wrong about that. Reciting the Holy Quran, very good. Very good. Giving sadaqah on behalf of a mu'min, very good. Nothing wrong with that. But that's not the best thing. The best help we can provide for a mu'min in the time of Barzaq is fulfilling his huququllah and huququn nas wajib obligations. Brothers and sisters, there is no questioning from any person in Barzaq about mustahab things. A person is not being asked, hey, did you finish the Holy Quran, recitation of the Holy Quran? Well, that is a mustahab thing. It's very good to recite. Nothing wrong with that. But that's mustahab. It's not wajib. Allah is not going to ask about the mustahab things in the grave. And there are specific things which are being asked in the grave only. Not all the questioning which is going to be delayed until the day of judgment. The best service we can provide is to fulfill the wajib duties of the person if they are missed. If you can seek apology from the people. If a person has messed up, if a person has done any oppression, if the person did not fulfill his huququllah or huququn nas, we go and seek apology from those people. We fulfill the salat of the person. We fulfill the prayers of the fasting of the person, the hajj if he did not perform, the khums if he did not pay. That's the best service you can provide, fulfilling the wajib duties. And we need to take it very seriously. At the final moments, when a person is passing away, this is time to focus towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Focus towards facing Ahlul Bayt. Focus towards facing Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam Ali has said to his companion, authentic narration, mu'tabar narration, Haris al-Hamdani. This is not the city of Hamadan in Iran. This is Hamdan, Qabila and tribe of Hamdan from Yemen, which was a tribe belonging to the lovers of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Haris al-Hamdani was a companion from Yemen, from the tribe of Hamdan. Imam Ali said to him, Ya Haru Hamdana, man yamut yarani. O Haris al-Hamdani, whoever dies sees me. Wow, what a great hadith. Although every hadith of Imam Ali is equally great, my Mawla Amir Mu'mineen saying to Haris al-Hamdani, whoever dies sees me. Every single human, Muslim, non-Muslim, mu'min, kafir, munafiq, every single person sees Imam Ali alayhi salam and the final moments. How are we prepared to embrace Imam Ali alayhi salam? His walayat is the most intense noor in the cover. Did we support the walayat of Imam Ali? Did we support the walayat of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam? The prerequisite for this support of walayat is what Rasulullah has mentioned in his hadith, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, inna walayatahu la tuqbal illa bil bara'ati min a'da'ihi. Walayat of Imam Ali alayhi salam is not accepted. His walayat is not accepted except through bara'at and disassociating ourselves from the enemies of Imam Ali alayhi salam. How many people do the bara'at from the enemies? Bara'at from the Yazids of yesterday and Yazids of today. That's the prerequisite when I say Ashhadu anna Aliyan waliyullah. I bear witness that Imam Ali alayhi salam is the wali of Allah. The prerequisite of this proclamation is I must already have disassociated myself, denounced and condemned the Yazids of yesterday and Yazids of today, the enemies of Ahlul Bayt, enemies of Imam Ali, enemies of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. How many people support the Taghoots and sympathize with the Taghoots and justify their policies and, you know, send some of people even go further, send their children into the army of a Taghoot. This is the prerequisite. My teacher, Ayatollah Jawadi Amuli, Hafadahullah, biggest mufassir of Quran on the planet, student of Allama Tabatabai, he says that rutbat tabarri muqaddamatun ala rutbat tawalli. The status of doing barat from the enemies of Ahlul Bayt is ahead, muqaddamatun. It's ahead of rutbat tawalli, of claiming that I love Imam Ali alayhi salam. That comes later. My teacher said because la ilaha comes first and illallah comes second. You need to first understand the meaning of la ilaha by negating all the zalimeen, all the taghoots, all that people associate as partners with Allah, our hawa nafs, our desires of the nafs and soul, and every idol and every other thing that is an obstacle in the way of the tawheed, and all the zalimeen and tawaghit. And that's how you pave the way for illallah to arrive. Some people fail to understand the meaning of la ilaha. How would they understand the meaning of illallah in their lives? Prophet has said, Qulu la ilaha illallah tuflihu, right in the beginning of his propagation in Makkah. Say la ilaha illallah and you would succeed. How many people understand la ilaha illallah? So this is Walayat of Ahlul Bayt stands for the Tawheed. Imam al-Husayn's sacrifice, the best way to depict Imam Hussain alayhi salam and his entire personality and his entire sacrifice in Karbala and elsewhere throughout his life is La ilaha illallah. Imam al-Hussain stood for La ilaha illallah, for the walayat and supremacy of the values of Allah and his Tawheed. Imam Hussain Islam gave everything for the sake of Allah. He didn't spare anything. He gave away whatever he had to Allah. Why wouldn't Imam Hussain be so great when he gave everything for the sake of Allah? Everything for the sake of Allah. Some of the narrations teach us Sayyida Fatimatu Zahra alayhi salam comes to the ziyarat of her son Imam al-Hussain every day. Look at the highness of Abi Abdullah al-Hussain. My Mawla Imam Rida alayhi salam says, Kulluna sufunun najat. We are all the arks of salvation, the boats of salvation. Walakinna safinata jaddi al-Hussain asra. But the boat of my grandfather Hussain is the fastest. Imam Rida alayhi salam is calling the boat of Imam al-Hussain to be the fastest. So we can understand if we have tamassuk, if we grab on to the walayat and the belief in the walayat of Imam al-Hussain, we disassociate from the enemies of Ahlul Bayt and we support the mission of Imam al-Hussain today, mission of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam today, how fast Imam Hussain can take us to paradise and to the success and to the taqarrub and closeness of Allah. Some of the scholars say Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam did not let his companions. Instead, he sent his own son first. Some of the scholars have this belief because Imam al-Hussain is the Imam. He is going to do sabqat and lead over every khair and goodness. Some of the scholars have this opinion that he sent Ali Akbar ahead of the rest, because Masoom takes sabqat and lead in every khair. He wants to send his son first. Look at the highness and azamat of Imam al-Hussain. Sending Ali Akbar first for the sacrifice. And when Ali Akbar was sent, Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam is sending Ali Akbar. You see how much he had love towards Ali Akbar. Imam Hussain said, Allahumma shahad ala haula il-qawm, oh my Lord, be a witness against those people. These people. فَقَدْ بَرَزَ إِلَيْهِمْ غُلَامٌ أَشْبَهُ النَّاسِ خَلْقًا وَخُلْقًا وَمَنْطِقًا بِرَسُولِكَ. Now that young man is going towards them, who is the most resembling person towards your messenger in terms of his appearance, in terms of his akhlaq and morality, وَمَنْطِقًا, and in terms of his talk. My teacher Ayatollah Jawadi Hafadahullah in his lesson was saying this hadith of Imam Hussain is a dalil that Ali Akbar was ma'soom. And my teacher is right. because somebody who's the most resembling to Rasulullah in terms of his akhlaq, in terms of his talk and his appearance, can never do a sin. Ali Akbar is Ma'soom, alayhi salam. So Imam Hussein is sending Ali Akbar for the sake of Allah to defend Islam. And he also cursed Umar ibn Saad at that time. Sayyid ibn Ta'us narrated in Kitab al-Luhuf, one of the most authentic maqatil in the history. Sayyid ibn Ta'us says, my Mawla curses Umar ibn Saad by saying, Qata'allahu rahimaka kama qata'ata rahimi. May Allah cut your lineage the way you cut my lineage. Imam Hussein is sending Ali Akbar. And some scholars have said that Ali Akbar had been advised to keep on turning his face towards Imam al-Hussein, so my Mawla Imam al-Hussein can keep on doing the ziyarat of Ali Akbar. The hadith of Imam Hussein says, Kunna idha ishtaqna ila ziyarat nabiyyaka nadarna ilayhi. Whenever we wish to do the ziyarat of your prophet, we used to look at him. So Imam Hussein used to do the ziyarat of Rasulullah by looking at the beautiful and handsome face of Ali Akbar. Ali Akbar is so much resembling to Rasulullah. So Ali Akbar departs Imam al-Hussein and he hears a voice, somebody's chasing behind him. Ali Akbar turns and finds it's his father, his elderly father. Imam al-Hussein is coming behind him. He just bid farewell to his father. Imam Hussein is still coming after him. But Ali Akbar cannot understand the pain of Imam al-Hussein. Only Imam al-Hussein can understand his pain, because Ali Akbar doesn't have a son like himself. He doesn't have any child like himself. Imam al-Hussein can understand the pain that he's going through. Ali Akbar went there to the battlefield. He did his fight. And after a while, Ali Akbar comes back and demands some water. How can Imam Hussein provide the water? There is no water available. Imam Hussein shows his tongue to Ali Akbar. Ali Akbar says, your tongue is even more drier than my tongue. Imam Hussein comforted Ali Akbar by saying, soon Rasulullah is going to provide. In other words, Rasulullah is going to provide that drink of Kawthar to you. And Ali Akbar goes away, and before going, he said something into the ear of Imam al-Hussein. And this is where my Mawla started to cry with a loud voice. For baka buka an aliyan. Imam al-Hussein cried with a loud voice. Sayyidah Zainab asked Imam al-Hussein the reason for crying. And my Mawla replied, it is a tradition that a father performs his wasiyat and will towards the son, but today the son is doing the will and wasiyat to the father. Ali Akbar goes back to the battlefield and he did his final battle. Finally, when he drops and he falls over the ground, this is the only shaheed in Karbala. Brothers and sisters, the only shaheed for which Sayyidah Zainab goes towards that shaheed ahead of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. How much Sayyidah Zainab helped Imam al-Hussein? How much she provided her help. You know, she knows how much Imam al-Hussein loves Ali Akbar. The only person for whom Sayyidah Zainab reaches to Ali Akbar ahead of Imam al-Hussein. And then Imam al-Hussein arrives and he sees Ali Akbar in those moments. Now Ali Akbar says to Imam al-Hussein, earlier Imam al-Hussein comforted Ali Akbar by saying Rasulullah is going to provide the drink. In other words, now Ali Akbar is comforting Imam al-Hussein, his father. Hada jaddi Rasulullah. This is my grandfather Rasulullah. Yaqra'uka salam. He's saying salam to you. Ajjil al-quduma ilayna. Come quickly towards us. See how Ali Akbar is comforting his father in those moments. Now Ali Akbar has a piece of the spear stuck into his chest. And how can the father tolerate his son in so much pain? Imam al-Hussein is about to take that piece of spear out of the chest of Ali Akbar. And as soon as Imam al-Hussein takes that piece out, the soul of Ali Akbar departs. I would like to say to Prophet Ibrahim, when you went out to slaughter your son Ismail, you were blindfolded. When Imam al-Hussein is taking the piece of spear out of the chest of his son, he was not blindfolded at that time. Look at the azamat of Imam al-Hussein. And then Sayyid ibn Taus says, my Mawla Imam al-Hussein puts his cheek over the cheek of Ali Akbar in the final moments and says, ala dunya ba'dakal afa. So in other words, there is no need, no benefit to stay in this dunya after you. Ala la'natullah ala al-qawm al-zalimin wa saya'lamu alladhina zalamu ayya munqalabin yanqalibun inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Ilahi bihaqq az-zahra wa abiha وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها. بار الہ پرچم اسلام کو سر بلند فرما، پرچم کفر و شرک و نفاق کو سر نگوں فرما، انقلاب اسلامی کی حفاظت فرما، تمام علماء ربانیین، تمام مراجع کرام، بالخصوص رہبر انقلاب کا سایہ ہمارے سروں پر برقرار رکھ، تمام مجاہدین اسلام بالخصوص جو حرم ہائے اہل بیت کا عراق میں اور شام میں جناب زینب سلام اللہ علیہا کے حرم کا دفاع کر رہے ہیں، ان کی نصرت فرما، تمام مومنین کی جان و مال و آبرو کی حفاظت فرما، تمام مومنین کو وظائف شرعیہ پر عمل کرنے کی توفیق عنایت فرما، تمام مومنین کی مشروع حاجات کو پورا فرما، بانیان مجلس کے ان مرحوم کی مغفرت فرما، ان کے جملہ مرحومین کی مغفرت فرما، بانیان مجلس کی مشروع حاجات کو پورا فرما، بار الہ جو مومنین زندان ہائے ظلم میں ہیں ان کو جلد سے جلد رہا فرما، خدایا ہمیں اس وقت تک اس دنیا سے نہ اٹھا جب تک امام زمانہ ہم سے راضی نہ ہو جائیں، ان کے ظہور میں تعجیل فرما، ہم سب کو ان کے انصار و اشیاء میں قرار دے، ربنا تقبل منا انک انت السمیع العلیم بجاہ محمد و آلہ الطاہرین۔ ایک سورہ فاتحہ ایک سورہ فاتحہ کی مزید درخواست ہے، اور 3 مرتبہ سورہ اخلاص مرحوم آغا عباس قلی خان قزلباش سن آف آغا حسن قلی خان قزلباش کے ایصال ثواب کے لیے۔
متوجه زعلت. السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا نبي الله، السلام عليك يا حبيب الله، السلام عليك يا سيد المرسلين، السلام عليك يا خاتم النبيين، السلام عليك ورحمة الله وبركاته، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين وسيد الوصيين علي بن أبي طالب، السلام عليك يا قرة عين الرسول فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى، السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك، عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر الأحد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليكم أئمة المسلمين من ذرية الحسين، علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي. السلام عليك يا حجة بن الحسن، السلام عليك يا صاحب الزمان، السلام عليك يا مظهر الإيمان، السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان، عجل الله تعالى فرجه وسهل الله تعالى مخرجه وظهوره، وجعلنا من أنصاره وأعوانه ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة، وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا، حتى تسكنه عرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا، برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
Jazakallah. Thank you, everybody. May Allah accept, inshallah, and give the reward to all of us, and especially to the Marhumin, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Khuda hafiz.